I own a lot of books, and a lot of these books are unread. Now, I love having my own library and a good stack of unread books, but when we take a deep dive into my shelves, I have books that have been on my shelves for so long, they are literally collecting dust, including books that could potentially be a 5-star favorite, but I just haven't read them yet. This series is not me going on a book buying ban, though I probably should. It is not me unhauling hundreds of books for the sake of shrinking my TBR. It is, however, giving the forgotten books a chance to become a favorite. Figuring out if certain books deserve to take up space on my shelves. I'll be using a TBR jar to select 3 books, and once the books have been chosen, I have 2 weeks to get them read. If I fail to read the books, they must be unhauled. The end goal of this challenge is to have shelves crammed with favorites, books that I will want to reread, share with my friends, or even pass down to my kids one day. I'm also giving myself the rule that if the book doesn't fit that criteria, it must also be unhauled. In the end, ideally, I'd like my physical TBR to be able to fit on this cart. So we have some work to do. Welcome to my bookshelf ultimatum. We're back. Did you miss us? Because we missed you. That was a lot cringy I said out loud than in my head, but I am back with another round of bookshelf ultimatum because I'm just in the mood to get shit done, get things read. We're gonna tackle this TBR, babe. I was looking at my book balancing sheet for the month because if you're unaware, I do like a bookshelf balance at the end of every month to see where I'm at with my TBR and blah, 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 blah. And listen, the number we started at the beginning of February, we were sitting at 624 TBR books. And then now today, it's February what? What is today? The 19th, 18th? It's a Tuesday. The club goes up on a Tuesday and we're still at 624. I have read books this month, but I've also bought books. Let's not talk about it. So I was like, Beth, you've got to stop and you got to get stuff done. So let's do another episode of Bookshelf Ultimatum. And give her a really good shake-a-rooney. And because I just added some more slips from my book haul. So, you know, the girls at 17 Swan Street, Beth, has already read this. I read it earlier this month, so who'da thunk? Let's go ahead and take another one. Let me shake it up again, actually. Okay. Getting a little carried away there, so let's pick another one. What do we have? Poster Girl. Poster Girl. Is this by, let me find it. Okay, so this is by Veronica Roth, Poster Girl. And I'm gonna be, it is blurbed by Karen Slaughter. I had this like put in my sci-fi section. And Greg Hurwitz. Who else? Lisa Unger. Why would I had this put in my sci-fi section of my bookshelves. So Karen Slaughter here says she couldn't put it down. Lisa Unger says don't miss this. So why are these thriller authors giving a, is this a thriller and I just had it shelved wrong? I don't know, it was sent to me a while back. Okay, well we're gonna read Poster Girl. That's gonna be our first book. I have a chair behind me so I feel like I'm all up in your business up close and oh my gosh. I'll be back in like 5 to 10 business days. What did I do, guys? Wow. Okay, now that I have officially worked up a sweat, I think I got them all. Let's hope I got them all and be a little bit more careful this time, Beth. Okay, be a little bit more careful this time. So let's pick our second book. So this is The Girl Who Drank the Moon. Oh, this is a middle grade witchy book, I believe. So there you have it. Let me grab it. The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. What I know about this one is it's this small town and every year they give up a baby as an offering to the witch in the forest. And the witch just goes along with it. She's like, I don't know why these people keep giving me fucking babies, but okay. And I think one year she keeps one of them and raises it as her own. And I think that's our main character of this book. I don't know. We'll see. I've been really, oh my gosh, look, there's a little baby dragon. I've been really wanting to read this because I hope I love it so much to where I can read it to my kids multiple times and not get tired of it. Because it feels like it could be one of those kind of stories, you know? So this is book 2. I'm gonna safely shake the jar to get us our third and final book for this video. And the jar's been good to us so far, so let's see if this third book is another great one. The Eve Brown series. I know that's not the name of the series, but that's just what I put. I think it's actually called the Brown Sisters series, but the first book is in fact Eve Brown. I have the entire trilogy. Let me grab it. So the title is Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the first in the trilogy. This is a romance book, like a little rom-com situation. And I've been really excited to get to this because back when I bought these years ago, these were pretty popular. I haven't really seen many people talk about them now, so I'm really excited. It says, she's sunshine, he's serious, they're enemies for now. So enemies to lovers. So we have a romance book, a middle grade book, and then whatever genre this one's in. I don't know, is it a sci-fi thriller? I just finished reading Dark Matter, so it'd be kind of cool to read another sci-fi thriller because I enjoyed that. I don't know, we'll see. So here's the 3 books that we're reading for today's vlog. I'm super excited. This is gonna be a good one. I feel like this is gonna be a good one. I saw you looking at this bookshelf in the back of the video. Listen, let me tell you about it. This bookshelf, it is a 5-tier turning bookshelf, which is fantastic to put my TBR books on because I can just pretend like I'm shopping. Which book do I want to, you know what I mean? Like it seems like a brilliant idea. But what's even better is, so I had that white cart at the beginning of the video. I showed the little white rolly cart, which is all fun and games if you're a paperback girly. But I have mostly hardbacks, and the more that I'm diving into fantasy, these hardbacks are getting thicker and thicker, okay? And it is close to impossible to get them in and out of the bottom 2 shelves without applying some force. And I just, with the amount of money that we spent on our books, do we really want to do that? Nay, nay. So when FlyCityMall reached out to me and said, Beth, girl, do you want one of our rotating bookshelves? I was like, yes, I do. So I have the 5-tier black rotating bookshelf. They also have a gold one. And let me tell you what, it took me a bit to really pick which one I want because I love the gold one, but I also love the black one, and I might have to just go back and get me a gold one. These can hold up from like 60 to 100 bucks, which is perfect for a TBR shelf. And the books slide in and out of here, no problem. You don't have to like tweak them any kind of way, turn them sideways, nothing. You can see every single book as you spin it around. It is literally perfect, my friends. And what else is perfect is they're giving you guys a code if you want to get one of these as well. You just use Beth Morvant and you can get 10% off your own little rotating bookshelf. And there is a smaller one. I think it's 3 tiers as well. So if you're looking for something a little smaller, they have that option. And I will link the website, and I'll also put the information of everything down in the description box below. But while we're here, I know my TBR is far too big to put on this right now. Like, I have 624 unread books, babe. But I can put my priority ones on here. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm finna use this guarantee. So let's go ahead and fill this up with my priority TBR. I'm in a really big thriller mood currently. Actually, I'm a mood reader, so tomorrow it could be different. So right now I picked these 3 because if I had to pick myself instead of the TBR picking, it would probably be one of these 3. If We Were Villains, The God of the Woods, and All the Colors of the Dark. And then I also put these Richard Osman books here. I don't think I have the 3rd one. I think this is 1, 2, and 4. It's fine. It's just another excuse for me to buy another book. And then I'm also putting Famous Last Words because I'll be getting to this next month as it is my book club's pick of the month. there you have my new TBR shelf. It can definitely change with my mood, with the seasons, with whatever. But right now, most of these books are either the ones that I really want to get to, that I'm in the mood for, or books that I really want to get to simply to get them off my shelf. You know, I'm like, I don't know if I really even like this anymore. So we're going to put it on the top of my TBR so I can get through it. Get to it and get through it, you know what I mean? So the idea of just coming to this little shelf, it'll help make like decision fatigue a little better, you know? Out of sight, out of mind, just focus on this for now. And maybe like every month we'll do like a little TBR shelf refresh of what I'm feeling in the moment. Again, if you want your own rotating bookshelf, I'll leave the link down below along with my coupon code, Beth Morvant. It'll save you 10%. So with that being said, we need to get to our first book. For as long as Zan can remember, every year at about the same time, a mother from the protectorate left her baby in the forest, presumably to die. Zan had no idea why, nor did she judge, but she wasn't going to let that poor little thing perish either. And so, every year, she traveled to that circle of sycamores and gathered the abandoned infant in her arms, carrying the child to the other side of the forest, to one of the free cities on the other side of the road. These were happy places, and they loved children. How sweet! Zan is the witch that everybody thinks. So in this village, they've been doing this for many, many years, okay? In this village on Sacrifice Day, what they do is they go to whoever has the youngest baby at that time. They take that baby and leave it in the forest for the witch as a sacrifice, because they think if they don't do that, bad things will happen in the village. Essentially, that is a lie. That is a lie. Zan has no idea why they keep leaving their babies, but she's not going to just leave the babies there. Like, she's going to go get them. She just doesn't understand why that they won't stop doing this, which is so wild to think about. Anyway, at the beginning of the book, before we get the perspective of Zan, it shows us them taking the baby from the mother, and the mother is not having it. She is not happy. The first person that tried to take her baby, she beat him up. And then when the other people, when like the official people came to take the baby, she was like, if you take my baby, I swear to you, I will go find her and I will get her back. And then it says, hang on, let me find it. At the end of the chapter, it says, though they thought she was gone forever, they were wrong, of course. So I'm assuming that that baby, that in particular where the mama was really, because they said that this is the first time that anyone's been upset about having to give their baby up. I'm assuming that that's the girl who drank the moon. I don't know, I'll figure it out when I get there. But anyway, so the witch's name is Zan, and we love her, apparently. There's also a little dragling is mentioned. I'm only like 20-something pages in, I'm not very far. There is no shame at all in being a perfectly tiny dragon. Size isn't everything, you know. He is an ancient and honorable species filled with some of the greatest thinkers of the 7 ages. He has much to be proud of, and I'm gonna assume that she's talking about that one, and I just realized his wings are rainbow. So cute. This is gonna be a good book. I already can tell 20 some odd pages in that this is gonna be a good book. You see, sometimes I wonder if I'm allergic to you. And I say this because almost, not every time, but almost every time when I pull out my camera, my sinuses start acting up. And they be acting, it is dark. My apologies. Also added a plant to my little rotating bookshelf here. My husband walked in after I'd unfilled it up and put it up here in the corner, and he was like, oh, I like that. So it's husband approved. But I added a little plant because I thought it would be really cute. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, my sinuses are acting up. Therefore, my nose is like really raw and my skin is so dry because it was like 80 degrees yesterday. It's 30 degrees today. Girl, Mother Nature be tripping. Whoo! It's a whole thing. Let's go ahead and get to the book, because last night and this morning I got more reading in, and I got to a little over halfway, probably like 60% into the book. And let me just tell ya, it's a good one. It is a good one. I cannot wait for my kids to get to chapter book reading. We can like buddy read, have a family book club. That's gonna be so fun. So fun. The Girl Who Drank the Moon. I'm gonna put the book down so my arm doesn't hurt and my hands are sweaty because the heater is on. Okay, so The Girl Who Drank the Moon. This is a fantasy middle grade story. Though most of the story is told, Kaiser, he's behind me snoring. So most of the story is told in third person. There are a few chapters throughout the story that is told with like a first person narrator, which I believe is a parent telling their kid like a bedtime story type situation. You as the reader are the kid, because I mean this story it's written for kids. It's written for anybody who wants to read it, but the idea audience is middle grade children. Anyway, so they're telling the story of the tale of the day of the sacrifice, essentially. What that is this village, for as long as they can remember, every year on this day, they have to sacrifice the youngest child in the village. They bring this child to the dark forest, leave the child there as an offering to this witch so that the witch doesn't kill them all. They've believed this for so long that when the people come and knock on their door to get the baby, nobody normally, like, they don't ever question it. They are okay with sacrificing their child and they just give it away until the year that Luna was sacrificed, or left in the forest, sacrificed, whatever. Now, this witch, she is not evil. She is not evil. She is a very lively, funny, happy witch. She has no idea why this town or village continues to leave a baby in the forest every year. She has no idea why, but again, she's not gonna let that baby die. So every year she goes to this forest, she picks up this baby, and because it takes her a few days to get from that forest to the towns that she brings these babies to find a happy family, she feeds these babies star magic or power or whatever. So she like pulls it from the stars and they drink that until they become, you know, strong and healthy, and it ensues that they have this really happy, successful life as she brings them to their new family in these other towns. Well, this year, also, you should know that the people who are in charge of all of this, the elders and the sisters of the stars, okay, they know, or they think, that there's not really a witch. They just think that they're taking these babies every year to bring to this so-called witch. Really, they're just leaving it in the forest, and they think that like animals or whatever attack it. Okay, they know that there's not a witch, and they do this to make sure that they hold power over the village. You know, they keep the village sorrowful and all this kind of stuff. The bastards. Anyway, the baby at the very beginning of the book that was left in the forest when Zan the witch went to go get the baby, she accidentally feeds the baby moonlight instead of the starlight. The moonlight is what accidentally magics, is that what they call it? The baby, okay? And so now Zan can't get rid of this baby. She can't bring this baby to this village because this baby's going to be powerful. She's going to be full of this powerful magic. My battery's about to die. Please hold. So Zan knows that this moonlight has made Luna too powerful, that she can't just drop Luna off at a regular family for them to raise her. So Zan decides to raise her as her granddaughter and brings her back to her home in the forest. And she also has Glurk, that is like a swamp monster. He's quite hilarious. And we have the dragon. It's like a little perfectly tiny baby dragon. It can fit in the pocket of Luna's pajamas, like that's how little it is, with rainbow wings. Sounds super cute, and he's also funny as well. There's lots of little humorous bits throughout the story. So fast forward a little bit, and Luna has turned 5, and Luna has started playing with her magic. She doesn't realize what magic is or what she's actually doing. She'll say stuff like, wow, you look like a funny little rabbit, and the swamp monster will turn into this rabbit. And she has no idea what she's doing. She's 5. Zan goes, who is 500 years old. Imagine. Zan goes back to like this castle where she was raised when she was younger, because she too was fed magic as a little baby, and she goes back to this castle to kind of remember things and come up with what she can do to help Luna, because she knows that all of this magic inside of Luna makes Luna very dangerous. So she comes up with this spell to make it to where it stops her magic until she turns 13. And at this time, Zan knows, just like her when she turned 13, the person who raised her passed away. When Zan came into her magic, Zan knows that when Luna comes into her magic at 13, she too will pass away. So she spends this time from when Luna's 5 to 13, like teaching her all of this stuff, teaching her essentially life, teaching her math, teaching her how to read, teaching her all kinds of stuff, little life lessons and such. Well, throughout the time from when she's 5 to when she turns, I haven't reached the part when she turns 13 yet. Like, we're getting there, but I think she's 12 right now at the time that I'm reading this. They're preparing for the town is preparing for the next offering, and they got plans. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you what's going on there because I feel like if you want to know, you need to read the book. And please hold. If this was written for adults, it could be so dark and so good because I could just picture it. Like, if you really think about it, that they're doing is pretty dark, okay? You're literally stealing people's babies just so you can continue holding the power of these people, which is, well, let's not talk about how relatable that is with us. If you were ever curious as to what Beth's hair looks like in its natural state, here you go. I am on this hair growth journey, okay? I haven't cut my hair in a year. It was last February when I cut my hair, when I relaunched this channel, actually, so you can go and look. I have been trying not to dye it as often. I normally get it dyed like once a month. I haven't been because I'm trying to like give my hair a break, and I've been taking hair vitamins, and now I'm trying not to straighten my hair every day or every other day. So this is what my natural, fresh out of the shower but air dried hair looks like. What do they call this? Like Irish curls? We call it Hagrid over here. We're looking like Hagrid. It's fine. Anyway, I am here to tell you about the book that I just finished, which is this one. The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. Boy, this was such a magical, enchanting, spellbinding, perfect little fairy tale type book. So cute. So cute. Like, hello, we have a tiny little dragon. We have a swamp monster who is like the nicest little thing, well, big thing that you could ever ask for. We have a witch that at the beginning of the story was everyone's villain, but really she's the hero in the end. My most favorite part of this is knowing that in a few years, when I create my family book club with my kids, when they're like old enough to read chapter books, this is on the list. That being said, let's talk about the book that I'm going to be reading now. So the other two options were Poster Girl by Veronica Roth. If that name sounds familiar, it's because she is the author of the Divergent trilogy. And then we have the Brown Sisters series. I'm going to be reading the first book in that. So I'm going to leave that as my last book because I'm hoping I can finish this book today because it is less than 300 pages. I can finish this book today, and then tonight, while I'm like laying in bed, I can start the Eve Brown book. I normally read like darker stuff, and I don't like to read that right before bed because dreams, you know? So is Eve Brown on Kindle Unlimited? Because it'd be even cooler if I could read it on my Kindle. That's okay. Let's get to the point. We're going to be reading Poster Girl by Veronica Roth. And when I first got this book, which this was sent to me in 2022 when it first came out, it's been chilling on my shelves since then. I have never once thought to pick this book up. If I hadn't started the series, the amount of books that I have drawn, even in my last episode, the 3 books that I drew in that episode, I wouldn't have picked those books up this year. Those were nowhere near the top of my TBR. Honestly, I almost unhauled this book when I did my last big unhaul. I'm glad I didn't because it's actually a dystopian book. It is an adult dystopian book, and we all know Veronica Roth is that girl when it comes to dystopian. So I'm excited about this. I do know our main character is imprisoned, but she's given like this option to have her freedom back. They're asking her to go hunt down this missing girl. I'll know more when I actually get into the book. This is what I got from reading Goodreads. If you can find this missing girl, you can get out of this prison that you're in. Okay, that's it. That's it. That's the show. I don't know. I'm gonna go. I just had some chicken soup. I made some creamy chicken soup and it's so good. I had it with chicken and a biscuits. Is that what they're called? Crackers? So good. And as I was eating the soup, I kept singing animal crackers in my soup, you know, because that's what everybody does. Then when I was done, I was in the shower, like washing my hair, I said animal crackers in my soup. Then it had me wondering, because we are a household that has animal crackers on tap, okay? My kids love those. And I was wondering, I was like, why didn't I try it? It kind of sounds odd because you have your savory soup and then you have animal crackers, which are sweet crackers. But you know, tonight is girl dinner because my husband is going to this meeting that they do once a month and they serve, it's like a meeting. His job hires vendors to come do like fix stuff at his job. And so they host this meeting for vendors to come and then they serve food there and like do raffle tickets and stuff. Anyway, he's going to that tonight and so they serve them dinner there. So I get to have girl dinner, which is exciting because I don't like to cook. I hate cooking. I love to bake, but I hate to cook. I'll try it with the animal crackers and I'll let you know. I hope I don't get addicted to something new because that could be a shame. Because I am the type that I will hyper focus on food. If I find something that tastes delicious, I will eat that same thing for lunch every single day for the next 6 months. And then I don't want it no more. Let me get to reading, girl. I don't know. So most of the time in my videos, when you see bookshelves, you see this side of my room. This is my unread side of my room. What you don't see typically is this side of the room. These are where I keep my read books, the ones that I keep, because I do tend to unhaul a lot of the read books that I read if I don't see myself wanting to read those in the future. So that's why it doesn't look like there's much over here, but trust me, I read a lot more than this. Okay, that's besides the point. It is super messy. I don't want to like really go in here and reorganize everything because I will be packing these books up next month to relocate, you know. But I don't have any room in my middle grade section to put the book that I just read, so I gotta do some rearranging. Now I have used up some of my yarn since my last video where I showed you all of my yarn and stuff. I actually have started, and I'm almost done with, a blanket. So it's made some room over here. I think I'm gonna add some big rolls right here. I have plans for these yarn as well. I'm gonna work on those shortly when I'm done with the 1 or 2 projects that I am currently working on, you know, because all of this yarn, I know it's not a ton of yarn, but it stresses me out. I started a blanket here. It was just gonna be like a cream and green for a Christmas present, and then I nixed it and I did a cream and like multicolored blanket. I don't know if I'm gonna unravel all of this or just, I could just make a solid green blanket truly, because look at all this green. So this will be like the start of my kids' future library. So we have the Morgan Crow series, the first 3 books. I don't know when that series is continuing. The first 3 of the Percy Jackson. I still have yet to read the last 2 in that series. And then we have The Girl Who Drank the Moon. So I also do have the Harry Potter series. It has its own shelf right now. It couldn't fit here if it wanted to. That makes it to where I can organize that a little bit. That down there is like my young adult section. It was like young adult, middle grade all crammed together. It's truly a mess. It truly is, because I just been, when I read it, I cram it. I forgot I had yarn over here and yarn in that bucket, but we're just gonna leave them packed up. They're ready to go for the new place. We'll leave them there. We're not gonna worry about it. Oh, Veronica Roth. If this book turns out to be good, I'm gonna have to take back my, you know, you owe me. Because listen, back in the backpack day, I called out to work to stay home and read Allegiant. I sure did. I was not expecting to be pissed off. I was not expecting to be chunking my book across the room pissed off, okay? That book pissed me off. And since then, I was like, Veronica Roth owes me money for that book and owes me money for calling out to work, because what the fuck is what I always said. But anyway, if this turns out to be a banger, I'm gonna forgive you, Veronica Roth. And as of right now, 100 pages in, it feels like it could be a banger, okay? So this is a dystopian novel that takes place in the near future in the Portland, Seattle area of what used to be known as the United States. We follow a girl named Sonia. She is a political prisoner. Her father was a really big figure at the previous government known as the delegation. And Sonia was also pretty well known even though she was just a teenager because her face was plastered everywhere. Like their slogan was, what was their slogan? What's right is right. And it was the poster, had her picture in the middle, and it said, what's right is right. And they were plastered everywhere, on bus stop seats, on buses, on billboards, on school signs. The posters, you could not escape them. So she was known at the time, and still is, as Poster Girl. Nobody knew who she was, but they recognized her because they saw her face literally everywhere. So she was just known as Poster Girl. So at this time, the government, its name is the delegation. Then a revolution happens and a new government has violently taken place. They are called the Triumvirate, I believe is how you pronounce that. That's their new government that is in current day when Sonia is now 27. But back when she was 17, at that time, their government was like this techno-fascist system, okay? They didn't even have cell phones or anything. Back then, they evolved. And they were like, well, if you carry your cell phone with you everywhere, why not make it attached to your body? So when a baby is born, they would get these little lenses, surgically put them on their eye, and essentially anything that you can do from a phone, your brain does it in your eyeball. So like if you're talking to someone and they mention something that you don't know, you can Google it and it like pops up in front of your face. Like you can see it. Nobody else can see it. But like that was their new thing. They didn't even have like actual currency because somebody was always watching you. If you did good deeds, you got coins or credit. If you did something bad, they took it from you. And so like no matter your age or what you did, you can earn credit or money or whatever in this system. It's a very interesting system. So when this government system failed, the Triumvirate people were closing in on Sonia and her family. So Sonia had a mom, a dad, her, and her sister. As they were closing in on her family, her dad was like, let's all unalive ourselves. And so he passed out. They were sitting at the dinner table and he passed out a pill to each person, and on 3 they all took this pill. At the very last minute, Sonia decided that she did not want to, so she sat there and watched her whole family die. So because she chose to live, she now is being imprisoned at this prison called the Aperture, this closed complex prison situation for all of the government officials of the delegation as well as its loyalists, which is why she's there, because her father was a government official and she was also the face of them, you know, even though she really had nothing else to do with. Okay, so now it's present day. They have since released all of the kids that were put into the Aperture, except for Sonia, because she was put there when she was 17, so they considered her being an adult, and she's not being released. But everyone younger than her has been released a decade later, okay? And this Aperture place is very interesting. So what they have is, there's only 2 streets, Street Green and Street Gray, and they intersect, and there's 4 different apartment complexes. These people, for the 10 years that they've been there, they haven't been allowed anything new. So all of the belongings that they have, furniture, clothing, blankets, socks, everything is stuff that they have had for 10 years, or they have, like when somebody dies, they go and raid their apartment and take their books, and they use the books to build a table, or they take all of their old clothes and sew them together to make a blanket. Like they're learning how to grow tomatoes so they can actually have something fresh to eat instead of old canned peas. Anyway, they're also not allowed to have locks or anything on their apartments at all in the Aperture. And so it's enclosed like a prison. So there's a big old gate around the entire thing, and there's guards, a port that you go in and out, and you only can get in and out with a badge, and blah, 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 blah. An actual prison probably would be much better because they probably get more than canned peas and rotten tomatoes to eat. But anyway, one day Sonia goes back to her little apartment, which is like a studio apartment. So it's a tiny room with a tiny kitchen and a tiny bathroom. That's it. So she goes back to her little apartment. Her old friend is there. And I say friend, that's putting it lightly. So Alexander is in there. Now Alexander is somebody from her past, because when Sonia was free and young, when she was just a teenager, she was bestowed to a guy named Aaron, and Alexander was his brother. Aaron had passed away before, like during the whole revolution and stuff, so he had passed away. But Alexander was always against that old government and is now working for the new government, trying to restore everything and get it back to semi-normal life. So Alexander tells her, hey, we have this proposition. You can do us a solid and help us find this girl named Grace Ward, who is 13 years old and nobody knows where she's at, so we can return her to her family and you can get your freedom if you help us. But if you don't help us, then you can stay here for the rest of your life. So this Grace girl, why they're trying to find her is they're trying to put things back into place. Because back when it was the delegation, you were only allowed to have one child. If you got pregnant a second time, you were forced to abort it. If you were caught with a second child without having the permission to have a second child, they took that child from you and rehomed it to another family who couldn't have children. And normally this happens right when the baby's born, okay? It's very rare because they have that thing embedded in your eyeball, so they see everything. They see all your transactions because you're using the credit that is stored in their systems. There's no like physical money anymore. They know like, hey, she has a 5-year-old and she's buying newborn diapers. They raid your home because that means you must have had a baby and you weren't supposed to. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sonia is a second child. She had an older sister. Alexander had an older brother. Listen, or younger brother. You could get permission to have a second child, but they only granted you permission if you could prove to them that your child would grow up and benefit the delegation, that was going to grow up and be a powerful leader, was going to grow up and make changes that aligned with their beliefs and blah, blah, blah. So a lot of the times it was only the really important people who were allowed to have a second child, and their parents were really important people because Alexander's dad is also in the prison with Sonia, okay? So Grace was a legal second child, but her family kept her until she was 3 before the delegation found out that they had an illegal second child. She speculates that it was never put in the system because it shows that the delegation did something bad by taking a 3-year-old who would have memories with this family away from this family, versus if they took a 1-week-old baby away from the family. I guess that ain't that bad. The new government has been going to get all these kids. This is what I don't understand. This new government is going to take all these kids that were given up for adoption from their adopted parents, whom they have been with for a decade. I mean, I understand they stole them from the parents, but you have to think of how these kids feel. You know, like they think that those are their real parents. They've been with them for 10 years. They're being taken from those houses to bring back to their original family, which yes, it's like right and wrongs, but at the same time, that's sad. Anyway, so nobody knows where Grace is, and it's the last child that they need to put back in their home, but they can't find her, and so they need help finding her. And because Sonia is over there twiddling her thumbs and doesn't really have anything to do because she's in prison, they're like, well, let's use Sonia to help us out. So that's what this whole mission is, that she is on the hunt to earn her freedom, trying to find this girl. Anyway, so Sonia is still living in the Aperture. She just has a daily pass now that she can come and go from, you know, the prison, the Aperture, as she goes and does the research and whatever. Now, all the people on the outside have already had their little lens removed surgically because they don't want like the government to have full access to you like that anymore. They're back to just using old regular schmegular technology. She still has hers in her eye though because she is a prisoner, so they didn't remove any of them from the prisoners. So while she's out and about doing her little hunting for this girl, Alexander can monitor where she's at and stuff, and he like meets up with her and whatever through her little lens thing, which is kind of creepy, but it's dystopian, so what do you expect? the thing that is around their eyeball is called an insight. What they do because we're getting a lot more information on it, what they do or did when they would put them in the babies is it's a shot they shoot into your brain, and it's like this fluid stuff that grows and forms around your brain that like controls the insight, and so the insight like grows with your eyeball and stuff, I guess. And the whole time they thought that it was like people sitting in front of computers watching footage from your eyeballs at all times, you know, seeing what you were doing, what you were saying, what you were thinking about, what you were spending your money on, who were you around, this, that, and the other. But it wasn't. It's actually kind of like AI. They programmed a computer to monitor all of that. It's crazy because in order to keep the population like how they want the population to be, they control your coins, right? So for instance, she said that her father used to whistle all the time in the kitchen, and every time you whistle music, they take 2 coins away out of your account because they didn't want you whistling. Or if you're in the company of someone and they're speaking ill or cussing or just being a bad influence, they get coins taken away and you get coins taken away for listening. But then on the flip side, you get coins for doing good things. So what a life. You don't even have to have a job. You can just be walking about town, you know, helping people cross the street and shit and making money. That's like the next upgrade is going to be a fucking chip. The next time you go in there to upgrade your phone, you're gonna get like this computer chip that they're gonna insert into your brain. It's getting close, I fear. Hope not. We have come to an end of another book. I finished this book last night before I went into sleepland. Let me tell you, the past few nights, I haven't been able to sleep. You know, like when you're sleeping, like you close your eyes but your mind is racing, you open your eyes, it's been 3 hours but you don't recall sleeping. Yeah, that's how I've been living. It's literally on the edge, you know. But last night, man, I lay down in bed, I cracked open my Talia Hibbert book. I probably read a half a page. I was gone, okay. Anyway, Poster Girl by Veronica Roth. I finished this last night, and there are so many aspects of this book that I truly enjoyed, okay? So many. The main one, though, is that typically when you read a dystopian novel, at least in my experience, you're reading it during the times that this corrupt, fucked up government is in charge, right? So if you read Hunger Games, President Snow in his little circus, or like in charge currently, and they're living through the hell. But this is after all of that, after the corrupt government has been taken over and they're fixing stuff. You're reading about the aftermath, and I thought that was a very interesting take on a dystopian novel. Also, another thing is when the delegation, which is the fucked up government, was in control, their slogan is "What is right is right." They are the ones that inserted this device into people's brains and eyeballs to watch them 24/7 and essentially control their life. It was very much like a video game because they had no real currency anymore. They were literally, they were caught whistling in the kitchen, -2 coins. Oh, they picked up somebody's groceries that fell out of their hands while they were crossing the street, +10 coins. Oh, they had unprotected sex, -5,000 coins. It kind of was like a video game. Anyway, where was I going with that? Morality, essentially, is like you're constantly thinking about that in this book, and choices, and like who says what is right, you know? Who says that whistling is bad? Like the government was so controlling that you had to get them to approve the music that could be played, and barely any type of music could be played legally without getting money taken away, which is why, like, what happens when you're at negative money? You know what I mean? Like negative coins. Who says what is right and what is wrong? Okay? That's like a very interesting topic in this book, and it has you constantly thinking about things like that. It has our main character constantly thinking because she was raised, up in this government. And so her dad was a very high figure in this government, and it's all that she knows. And her life was literally just doing the best that she could to collect these coins. Like, that was her goal in life, until it wasn't, until she was caught and put in this bird cage of a prison. And then when she is finally somewhat released to go try to find this girl, things were opening her eyes, and she was seeing truths, and she was seeing why, oh, that belief from the past government actually is not the way to go. You know, telling someone that they can't have a second child is not the way to go. But more importantly, taking that child from a family. Look at the effects on the children. Like, and it started really opening her eyes and seeing all of the dark stuff that not only the government at that time did, but that her family was involved in, and she had no idea. And when I say dark stuff, I'm not just saying whistling in the kitchen, babe. Now, I will say the one thing that I feel like keeps this from getting a 5-star is the fact that it feels like a young adult. Our characters, if we aren't told in this book that she was 27 years old and Alexander was in his 30s, I would definitely think that these were teenagers. The world also, with how complex the government was, it was also kind of dumbed down, I guess. I don't know. She could have definitely did more with the world and the characters and made it, you know. It's still a really good book, though. It is definitely a good book. If you are in the mood for a dystopian novel, 100% recommend. I do. Is it better than the Divergent trilogy? It is better than Allegiance. I'll give it that. I haven't reread Divergent or Insurgent, and I read those when they were first released, so it's been many years. Will I ever want to reread Allegiant? Probably not. I don't know. Actually, now that I'm an adult and I've matured, maybe I will. Maybe I will, and see if my opinion... I wish I had Goodreads at that time. I did not have Goodreads at that time. So I don't know what I'm pretty sure I gave Divergent 5 stars, Insurgent 5 stars, and Allegiant 1 star. Pretty sure that's how it went. That'd be a very interesting little journey to do, is like reread the Darkest Minds trilogy, the Divergent trilogy. I just reread Hunger Games for the first time last year, and it was a treat, I will tell you. And the amount of stuff that I forgot happened, because my memory sucks so bad that sometimes as I'm reading the book and I'm like, oh, I should go update them. By the time I turn on my camera, I've done forgot what I was gonna tell you. And I'm pretty sure it's probably because I have gone through a shit ton of trauma, especially in my childhood, that my brain is just like, what? I don't know, honestly, truly. Okay, so I did start the next book and the last book in this. I need a place to put this book down. I did start the next book and the last book in this series. I don't have it with me. I left it in the other room. But in the beginning of this video, I was like, I'm going to be reading Eve Brown. No, no, I'm not. That's not the first book in the series. That's the last book, girl. I'm going to be reading Get a Life, Chloe Brown. That is the first book in this series. And when I was talking about Eve Brown at the beginning of the series, I think even my little slip said Eve Brown. The Eve Brown series. You were probably hollering at me through your screen. Like, bitch, you're reading it wrong. But don't worry, I caught myself. When I would turn the book over to go read the synopsis. At the bottom it said, don't forget to read these two or whatever. I was like, oh, wait. So anyway, I started reading Get a Life, Chloe Brown this morning. I took some clips of some thoughts. So we're gonna rewind. We're gonna go back in time, my friends. And then I'll catch up with you in a second to give you a full synopsis breakdown of Get a Life, Chloe Brown. So here's Beth at like 7:30 this morning. Chloe has a list. This is her list. Number 1, move out, which she's already done. Number 2, enjoy a drunken night out, which honestly, if she would have took up her sister on the offer of going to karaoke night, she could have checked that one off. But alas. Number 3, ride a motorbike. Number 4, go camping. Number 5, have meaningless but thoroughly enjoyable sex. Number 6, travel the world with nothing but hand luggage. Number 7, which apparently she claims she's already checked it off, is do something bad. I wonder if that's actually something truly bad. And my answer is no. Her neighbor Red is like the superintendent of this complex that she lives in, and he was in a flat with his shirt off, so all his muscles and tattoos were there, and painting, and she was spying on him, and so that was her do something bad. Girl, get out of here. I thought you was gonna suck his TT or something. When I'm done with this book, I think I'm gonna give it to my cousin. I think I'm gonna have to like power through all 3 of these because I think my cousin needs to. I'm not done with it, but I think my cousin needs to read this because my cousin and I are 15 days apart. Our moms are sisters. And my cousin, when she was like 7, she was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis in her entire body. And then when she turned adult, the diagnosis went from juvenile arthritis to rheumatoid, whatever, arthritis in her entire body. And they have tried so many different medications. They've even tried chemotherapy, all sorts of stuff to like make her feel better. The whole, like the chair in front of the stove, like all the time. It just reminds me so much of my cousin. And I think that her reading a book where she can fully relate to the main character, she might enjoy it. Like my cousin now has 2 kids and a husband, and she lives life and she loves her life, and she, but she lives also with chronic pain every single day of her life. But she makes the best of it, and I think so does Chloe so far in this book anyway. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to pass this book, maybe the whole series, but for sure this book I will be passing it to my cousin. I think she would appreciate reading about someone that she can see herself in. All right, I am back to talk about the summary of Get a Life, Chloe Brown, as I am a little over 100 pages into the book. I think I'm on like chapter 8 or something like that, but I'm having a good time nonetheless. So in this book, girl, it is a romance book, okay? We're following 2 people, and they're gonna essentially fall in love, as one does. So we have Chloe, the FMC, and we have Red, the MMC. Red is also like the superintendent. Superintendent to me sounds like someone that's above the principal at a school. Anyway, I digress. So Chloe is out on her little hot girl walk when, she almost dies. She almost dies because a car comes speeding through, misses her by 3 feet, and slams into a brick building because a woman was driving in the middle of the day drunk as a duck. Chloe's going through all of this, and she's like, you know what? This is my sign. I need to get out there, and I need to get a life. So she makes a list. I shared that list with you earlier as I came across it in the book. So she makes a list of things that she needs to do so that she can officially say she's got a life. So Chloe, at the very beginning of the book, when like the whole incident and stuff went down, she was still living with her parents because her parents are well off. So honestly, why not? But the first thing on her list was to move out. She has stayed with her parents because it is beneficial to her in the sense that she lives with a chronic illness known as fibromyalgia. She ticked off the first thing on her list of moving out, and so she moved into her own little flat, okay, with the allowance. Well, she gets an allowance. She gets like trust fund, I guess you would say, and then she also has a job where she creates websites for people. In comes Red. Okay, Red, again, is the superintendent of this building. At first, they don't really like each other, but you could tell that they like each other. You know what I mean? Like, okay, at first they don't like each other, but you could tell that they are attracted to each other. Okay, fast forward a little bit. They make a deal. She's like, so one of the things on my list of things that I want to do is to ride a motorbike, and I noticed that you got a motorbike. So if you can help me, I can help you, right? I think he thought it was kind of sexual at first, but she was like, I can help you with a website. Because he is he is a painter. So like he's a superintendent of her flat, but like he also is a somewhat famous painter, I guess, because he has people like chatting about him online, because when she Googled him, people were like, where's, you know, Redford? He hasn't put out any more, you know, artwork or whatever lately, whatever. Anyway, so they agree on this thing, and that's what their little agreement. Oh, Red left the painting scene because of someone named Pippa. We haven't really gone into any information about that, but he brings her up a little bit as if she might have traumatized him a little bit. I don't know what she did to him or what made him like leave the whole world of painting. Like, what did she do that was so bad that he left what he loved? You know what I mean? We haven't got to that yet. So he has some confessing he needs to do to us. Anyway, so the part that I am at is essentially them doing the first little task on her list is him taking her on a bike ride. And I mean, it's a romance. You know, we're guaranteed an HEA. Happily ever after. Yes, an HEA. So we can just expect it. But listen, I have laughed a handful of times already. I am enjoying this book so much, okay? Also, like, there was a scene where she was on her little hot walk with her little, what I envisioned in my head, a little juicy jumpsuit. She was on her little hot girl walk in her little jumpsuit, and she saw a cat, you know, stuck up in a tree, and she was like, am I literally walking in a children's book right now? Like, literally, am I? So she's like, should I call the people to come and get this cat, or should I do it myself? So she decides to do it herself, and she winds up getting stuck in the tree. And this is like the scene where like Red sees her stuck in the tree and he goes to help her, and I think this is the scene that alters their opinions on each other, like disliking each other, because Red also thought she was like very snobby because she comes from money, because she has like someone that helps her out all the time at her house, whatever, but he doesn't know about her fibromyalgia. And that's the scene. Anyway, so she wants him also adopting this little cat, so she has a cat at her apartment as well. When she got out of the tree, Red could see that she was in pain, and he kept asking her, he's like, are you okay though? Like, I can tell something's not right. Did you hurt yourself? Are you okay? And she kept saying, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. He couldn't like live with himself not knowing if she was truly okay. So after she went to her apartment, he decided to go check up on her. So he gets to her apartment. That's when she kind of tells him, you know, like, I have this chronic illness and I'm in pain all the time. And so he's like, well, you sit down and let me make you a cup of tea. And this is when it starts getting, I wouldn't say steamy because they haven't interacted with each other yet, but we've had some steamy thoughts. We had a little scene earlier with some semen. Okay, I can't. Listen, if you were my best friend, I wouldn't be embarrassed to talk about this with you. So we're gonna pretend for a second that you're my best friend. Because listen, if you have these two people doing the grown-up, and it's like the same exact scene, but it's one is located inside of the privacy of their own home and the other one is located out in public, I'm just gonna let you know that why is the one in public like 10 times hotter? I'm done with the book. Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I'm so tired. You guys, when I sat here and I'm like reading and I'm just like, it's late and I feel like I've been reading all day and I'm exhausted. Anyway, this book was so cute, so sweet, so spicy. I really enjoyed it. There are some things that kind of bothered me. For instance, I feel like the third act breakup could have not been there, and it would have been great because everything was going so good. And then the scene right before the third act breakup, when they're in her room and then she has to leave her room because her sisters show up and he overhears her talking to her sisters in the hallway, would have been a perfect time for her to be like, because I love him. And he overhears her say that because they both were already in love at this moment. And she comes back into the room and he's like, I love you too. And then it's like, happily ever after. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been so perfect. But instead, they had this third act breakup and then groveling and apologizing for what I felt like 17 chapters long. Kaiser agrees. Also, like, the love was kind of insta-lovey. Like, they were head over heels in love with each other pretty quickly. And they were a bit childish. I felt like if they wouldn't have said how old they were, I would think they were like 18, 19 years old. So, which is an adult, but like, your brain's not even fully developed yet. So, I mean, I did some dumb shit when I was 18, 19, 20. I got married when I was 21. That was dumb. Anyway, I gave it 3.5 stars. So I do hear that the other 2 books are so much better than this one, which I'm excited to get to because this was good. I can't wait to see how those are. Am I gonna keep this book or am I gonna unhaul it? It's 3.5 stars, so technically I would keep it. However, I'm gonna let my cousin borrow this, and if she wants to keep it, she can keep it. If she reads it and then decides she doesn't want to keep it, she can give it back to me. But I think she would really love this. So that's my thoughts on this. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I recommend. The other 2 really quick. I read this middle grade, The Girl Who Drank the Moon, and I gave this one 4 stars. I really love this. Me and my daughter were reading her school books earlier, like when she got home from school, and I was almost tempted to let her read this, but I feel like there's still so many. She's 6. She's in kindergarten. She's just now learning to read. So she's like reading like that can is Kit has a cat. So there's words in here that she's like, not like, people whispered that a boy like that had no business being an elder in training. She's gonna need to be like in 2nd or 3rd grade. But anyway, I gave this one 4 stars, and I'm keeping this and I'm adding it to my kids' collection for their like library when they're older. And then Poster Girl by Veronica Roth. I really enjoyed this one. Definitely recommend if you are into dystopian books. Yeah, I gave this one 4 stars as well. So I'm going to be keeping these 2. And I'm going to keep this if my cousin doesn't want it. But I have a feeling that if she reads books, it's romance books. So I have a feeling that she will want that. But those are the books. I recommend all 3 of them, truly. They all have their own little, well, I would say they all have their own little, I really had no complaints about this one. I felt like this one was truly perfect for a middle grade. It just wasn't like, I don't know. I feel like with the 5-star book, you know it's a 5-star. You know what I mean? Like you have that 5-star feeling. And I didn't have that 5-star feeling with this. So I guess it would be more of like a 4.5, truly, because this was really cute. It was, anyway, okay, so there are the books that I read for this episode of Bookshelf Ultimatum. Let me ask you a little question really quick. I want to do like a ruthless, like an ultimate, read it or unhaul it. Sorry, couldn't get the words out. With the exception of, I don't want to use my TBR jar. I want to pull down like 25 books and just do a ruthless, like pull down like 25 books that I think I'm not gonna really super enjoy. That way, like, I know I'll probably DNF a lot of them just to do, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. But I don't think I can actually name it Bookshelf Ultimatum because I'm not going to be using the jar. I'm going to be choosing the books off the shelf myself. But it's going to have all the other rules in the sense that if I DNF it, I have to get rid of it. If I rate it low, I have to get rid of it. If I don't read it at all by the end of the vlog, I have to get rid of it. Let me know what you think. So, like a thriller throwdown. Like a book chopping block. I don't know. And do like a big, because I can look at my shelves and see so many books that I'm like, why do I own you? But I don't want to unhaul it because I like looked up the reviews and the reviews are good or whatever, you know, like that kind of. Anyway, let me know in the comments below, okay? And don't forget to look in the little description box below thing for the link for the bookshelf, the rotating bookshelf, if you want one too. And I gotta go put my kids to bed, girl, because I need to go to bed too. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in my next one, looking less like a troll, truly.